Right. So, in the previous session, we discussed about what exactly business analysis is all about, why business analyst required all that. But let me give you an overall idea over the role of a business analyst, because business analyst is an individual or a group of people who try to understand the business requirements followed by the business problem of a customer, and providing subsequent solutions for them is what something which, being a BA, we do. In regard to that, especially as far as the role of a business analyst from the application point of view, one of the prominent application which normally we use for service management is called ServiceNow. That's what we are about to discuss in today's session, right? So because ServiceNow is a kind of application which is used to manage services, means if you want to manage any kind of services and all that, ServiceNow is one kind of tool which is extensively used. Apart from ServiceNow, of course, even in the field of Agile, we have a tool called Jira Service Management. One more tool, Jira Service Management is there. So using Jira Service Management, we can connect to different services wherein we can raise tickets and we can close those tickets by completing the queries, right? So this is all something which normally we do in regard to the service management part and all. But now and then, as in when you see, especially as far as the role of a business analyst itself is concerned, in from the context of ServiceNow area, normally this is majorly they have to be focused on multiple areas, because being into ServiceNow, because as in when ServiceNow is basically for IT service management we use. But generally, this will be used for three different core applications, because if you are a BA, first of all, you must be having a knowledge over three core applications. Whatever I'm going to explain you now are the key skill sets, because general skill set of a BA anyway you know, right? So knowing about the requirements, trying to understand about the business problem, providing solutions. At the same time, having some verbal and written communication skills. These are the common skill set for a BA one must be good with. But in addition to that, when it comes to the application called ServiceNow, there are three core applications we have, right? So first of all, we must be knowing about these three core applications. So one is about ITSM, and second one is about ITBM, followed by ITOM, right? So these are the three core applications, especially in ServiceNow. Being into ServiceNow business analyst, one must be good with. This is point number one. Do remember, again, I'm repeating, whatever the required responsibilities as a BA we require, those are all apart from that I'm talking about, because requirement gathering, preparing some BRDs, SRS, epic user stories, creating some use cases, UML diagrams. These are all the common skill set for any BA which is required. In addition to that, if you are working on ServiceNow application as a business analyst, okay, as a business analyst, right? The first one, what is that we need to, the first one, what is that we need to have a knowledge over the core applications, because we need to have some experience on the IT service management, followed by ITBM and ITOM and all that. That is one thing which we must be good with. Next, we should able in a position to build reports, because building reports is also one of the core and important element we have to be focused more on, right? So building reports, at the same time dashboards and all that. Now and then, to create reports and dashboards and all, we are using even Power BI, because Power BI, Tableau, right? So these are the different data visualization tools nowadays we are using. These data visualization tools are used for us to create reports. Means if you want to create any kind of dashboard reports for visualization of the data. So for that generally purpose, for the benefit of the internal teams as well as for the end users and all that. So building reports and as well as dashboards and all everything is what something which we must be good with. Next, after that, we being a business analyst, we need to have a basic as well as the clear understanding over few things, right? So understanding on the first one about the understanding of the business rules, because let me explain you what exactly business rules consists of. Normally, any organization, you take any industry, any organization. So to run this organization or to run their business activity in regular intervals, there are different business rules which generally they form. Based upon the kind of activities what they are performing, whatever the rules they create and whatever the rules they follow, everything will remains dynamic from time to time. Normally, those changes will be there. So, for example, you are working for an organization. Now, your organization is planning to use service now for their operations purpose, service management purpose to raise tickets by employees so that solving queries, right? So, this is all something which we wants to do. In this regard, service now applications remains same, remains constant, that never changes. That application will also be there. But according to the requirements of the customer, that has to be customized, that has to be configured. Because if you are a BA, more or less some kind of admin activities will also be involved in that. Some kind of admin activities will be there. These admin activities, something like configurations and all that, because there are two things. One is configuration, second is integration. Configuration means according to our business rules of the organization and how we are configuring this application within the organization is configuration comes into picture. But when it comes to the integration means, let's say for example, service now you want to integrate with some CRM application. Okay, maybe it can be Salesforce, it can be Dynamics or something. Or else service now you want to connect with Power BI as well as Tableau and all everything, so that you want to build some reports and dashboards and all. This is all something which is called as configuration part. This is what we call it, sorry, integration part. So if you are a business analyst, understanding over the business rules of the organization, which is something required, and because these are all business rules to understand, is majorly required for us to have a detailed knowledge over the configuration, right? So integrations, etc. This is what something which we must be good with. At the same time, we need to have a knowledge over the client scripting, because this is also some of the important element, right? So we have to be focused, client scripting and all that, because whatever the scripting which is required and all, client scripting and all everything. So that understanding we need to have. At the same time, we need to have a knowledge over the user interface actions, whatever the user interface actions you are required to perform, so that user requirement actions, and as well as the policies, right? So what are the different policies do we have? Right. So user interface actions and policies and all everything were required. So it's not only about the user interface actions and policies, of course, but even data policies and all everything were also required. So these are the major areas. Being a business analyst turned into service now, one must be good with all these business rules, right? So all these things are something which is required. This is one of the key and important element we need to be good with. Next, we should be having a knowledge over VTB as well, because introduction about the VTB was already given in the beginning of introduction, if you remember. When it comes to the VTB, which is, again, I'm repeating, which is called a visual task board, means if you want to perform any kind of task in visualization purpose and all, generally this VDB and all everything, right? So you wants to set up and managing these VTBs and all that, so that whatever the progress of tasks were happening within ServiceNow and all everything can be seen here. Along with this, of course, knowledge over software development lifecycle is DLC, right? So agile and all everything, of course, that I have already discussed in the previous session, right? So you know that. So these are the core and important elements. Of course, there are few things earlier as well, but end of the day, being a business analyst in context to the ServiceNow application itself is concerned, apart from the documentation, apart from preparing some BRDs, functional, non-functional requirements, software requirement specifications. At the same time, if you are following agile practices, rewriting some user stories and all using Jira. And we have an advantage, even Jira can be connected with service now, integration can be done. Even service management can be done again there itself. So these are the basic important elements we must be doing as far as the role of a business analyst when we are working on application. At the same time, as I told you, in configuration is also configuration as well as integration, right? So of course, integration normally development team will be taken care of, but configuration majorly, I can say. Configurations and integrations is what something which being a business analyst in service now, we must be good with. Apart from the regular roles and responsibilities, this is what something being a BA you have to be good with. Now, to have some hands-on experience, this is where something which you have to have a knowledge or some project, because it's not only about learning BA, it's not only about learning the application of service, but to have some hands-on exposure and all, it's always important for us to know about some live exposure, I can say, right? So live exposure and all everything. So for that to have that live exposure and all, there are different case studies we can do, as in when of course this case study we are going to discuss in coming days, right? So we are going to discuss in the coming days, like, because this is a case study which I'm showing you. This is a case study which is majorly used to standardize IT service management for all the departments. Maybe it can be manufacturing or it can be of anything, right? So this is what generally the case study. At the same time, if you are a BA, first of all, you should be able in a position to understand the client, followed by the kind of challenge what they are facing, right? So what kind of solution are you going to provide the result? For that, what are the different functional and non-functional requirements we want to develop? So this functional, understanding the functional and non-functional requirements for any of the project is what something which being a BA we have to do. Because domain experience, business analyst experience anyway will be there, application experience for service now which is required as well. In addition to that, being into business analysis, you need to have some knowledge over the case study, so that if you are working on some case study, so that you get some exposure. Because if you want to prepare any, let's say you have identified some business problem and you have identified some business rules has to be changed accordingly. So based on that, you need to develop some functional and non-functional requirements. Because once you have developed functional and non-functional requirements, this will be given to the technical team. Functional and non-functional requirements means developers, I mean to say service node developers, so that whatever the required code to be developed and all everything will be taken care of by the developers over there. Wherein basic configurations and integrations can be performed by the BA, maybe a smaller part of admin activity will be performing. But in addition to that, detailed authentications, authorizations, that sort of things, which being into admin roles, normally ServiceNow BS will be as separate, ServiceNow admins will be as separate. They will be taken care of, but little bit of domain, little bit of admin knowledge is always helpful for a business analyst to acquire more knowledge, right? So I think this is all about session, I think, right? So you understood, right? So because last time I have given an intro part of BA in context to the service now. And today I have discussed about so what are the skill sets required for a BA and what are the different skill sets being into business analyst and service now you must be good with. At the same time, you need to have some case study, some exposure, live exposure, some case study kind of knowledge is always helpful to you. So if you have that case study experience or case study knowledge, so that when you are facing any interviews and all, because business analyst is a scenario based, right? So business analyst is all about the scenario based learning, because if there is this is a scenario, right? So how you have addressed, right? So how you have given solution, right? So what are the steps you have taken to provide solution? These kind of scenario based questions we come across. So which being a business analyst, we should be able in a position to answer these properly. Hence, it's always important if we can work on the case study, as in when I told you, right? So by knowing about this case study like this, right? So if you can work on this case study, so of course, this case study, I will provide it to you. and you guys have to go through the case study. You guys have to understand what exactly this case study is all about. So based on that, you need to do some documentations, etc. Everything that you have to do it in coming days. Slowly, I'll tell you, right? So because parallel is some kind of a case study kind of project exposure is always preferable. This is what something which we are doing in coming days. Okay, right. So this is all about. I hope, right. So because I could see one or two were even I could see from non-IT. That's the reason why I'm giving you the basic understanding over this, right? So that you guys will be knowing it well, right? So basic from you need to know about, even because even we discuss about even SDLC, etc. Software development life cycle. What are the different SDLC processes we have, like waterfall model, V model. At the same time, now and then we are using Agile, right? So if you are a BA, it's not only documents. We should be able in a position to write some epics, user stories, right? So this is all something which we have to be good with. This I'm going to explain in coming days, because introduction part of BA I have covered, right? So what business analyst, why business analyst, all that I have covered. As a BA, how we are going to do, followed by this, what are the different skill set being into business analyst in service now we have to acquire it. This is all something which we have discussed, right? So about the case study part and all everything that I'll be sharing this in an email to you, and we discuss about this case study in detail, line by line, right? So you need to understand line by line in coming days. Okay, right. So if you have any questions, please go ahead.